Good afternoon. I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive, and I'm here in the home of the Westchester County Board of Legislators. Happy to be joined by my friend, the Chairman of the Board of Legislators, the Honorable Ben Boykin, to announce that we have agreed that I will deliver a State of the County message to the members of the legislature on Monday, April 16th at 7 o'clock here in this chamber. That might not seem like a particularly bold announcement. It's an annual activity that goes back many years, but this is the first time in a number of years that we will be in the Board of Legislators Chamber for our announcement. In the last few years, prior county executive has taken it to a different venue, but I've always believed during my tenure when I was in this House for 13 years that this is an opportunity for the executive branch to share the vision of the county to the legislative branch, two separate and co-equal branches of government that each have policy power to be able to decide what direction goes the county. When I approached Chairman Boykin, he was very gracious. It's his room to do with as he sees fit, and his colleagues, and I'm very happy that we'll come back here for that. Obviously, the size of the room makes seating a little problematic. We're hopeful that media will cover the speech so that people who are not physically in the room will see it, and hopefully we'll make some intelligent points which will drive our policy going forward. But I'm very honored to be back here in a room that I called home for 13 years, and I want to thank the chairman and my friends and colleagues on the Board of Legislators for the opportunity to return to this venue. This is the proper place for an executive to address the legislature. Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. County Executive. I'm so pleased that you've decided to return the state of the county to the Board of Legislators Chambers. This is where the county's business takes place. This is the people's house, and the state of the county should be in the people's house. It has not been here since 2012, so this is a big moment to return this most important speech to this chamber. It is required by the Charter of the County of Westchester, and they have the county executive deliver it here to all 17 legislators and to the people of Westchester County is clearly a welcome relief. We are pleased that you will be returning to this chamber where all legislators will be invited to be here on that night. We will have seating for as many as that we can get here. We expect to have the press to do a great job of covering this important address to the people of Westchester County and to the legislators of this county. This important speech, which lays out the direction of the county executive is going, is important that we all hear and that we all understand. So on behalf of the County Board of Legislators, I just want to say to County Executive George Latimer, thank you for taking this step and returning this speech to its rightful place. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
If there are any questions, we're happy to address them. Yes, Dennis.
When your first week in office, you said you would have the New York State Controller do an assessment of the financial situation in Westchester County. Have you received any information back? And if not, when do you think the report, you will get the report?
Well, we've had dialogue with the Controller's Office. They've indicated the willingness to come and do a fiscal review. We're trying to time that before the end of February and to be completed by the end of March, hopefully no later than that, because some of the insight that we expect them to give us about our fiscal policies will be part of what I'd like to address on the 16th of April. But we'll have to see how it goes. This is not an uncommon request. Governments all across the state often turn to the state controller for advice on how best to proceed. And I thought, since it's the beginning of my term of office, it's the beginning of Chairman Boykin's term as chairman, that we should jointly see what the status of the county's finances are, and not just the dollars and cent numbers, but also the fiscal policies, because we have seen, over the last 8 years, a certain philosophy, and that philosophy has manifested itself in budgets as well as in specific actions by operating departments. That is the world in which we have to govern, the 17 legislators and myself, and I think it's important for the controller to look at that, and their willingness to do that is of great help to us.
Can I ask about the capacity? I mean, I think of 300 seats, right? How many people can you fit in?
probably 100-plus people.
We can also use the rotunda out there. We can put seating out there. And, you know, if there's a lot of overflow, we probably will have to put some people in the committee room that can hear it by some type of remote. But we're going to try to provide access to as many individuals as possible.
And I think the important thing, Mark, is that putting it into this room, the most important audience for this speech are the legislators. And to do it in their house is appropriate. And as we've seen over the years, the State of the Union message, you know, crams people into the House of Representatives, and there's a practical maximum. You could take a major speech and put it in an arena and put thousands of people in, but what's most important is that the President speaks to the Congress, and of course that's the same in other levels of government. So it would be nice if the capacity for the in-room observation of the speech were larger, but these are the confines that Andy Spano dealt with, that Andrea O'Rourke dealt with, that Ed McCaley and Aldo Bello dealt with, and I'm very comfortable that the legislators are here. And I have great confidence that you and your colleagues in the media will report whatever is newsworthy in the speech, and you know, everyone will know what we say that night.
We have almost 2 months until the address. Can you give us a little tease as to what we can expect?
Well, I think it's going to depend on a number of things. Right now, we're trying to do, from an executive standpoint, a deep dive on the budget. We're looking at some of the major deals, either that have been made or not made over the last few years, the airport, Playland, where we stand with union contracts, what our discussions will be on extension of contracts like Liberty Lines, which was proposed by my predecessor for an extension. It's scheduled to go at the end of this year, and so we have some time to work with. And we're in the process of trying to make those assessments, Ally, to try to determine what we're comfortable with, what we want to reopen. As I've said to the chairman and to the members of the board, a partnership means that both sides will have input on the final product of what public policy is. So I think what it means is that we'll continue to talk over the course of the next few weeks as we get a report from the controller, as we get a better picture of our finances from our budget director and from our finance director, and the chairman and his team and budget and appropriations will bring these very people in for their purposes of their briefings. We'll get a pretty good idea. But we will have printed comments that night. We'll release them to the press so you can read them. We will try not to be boring to the best of our ability. When I was chairman, I sat through 4 years of sitting in that chair listening to the county executive, Andy Spano, in those days, and I recognized that the camera was on me. So Ben is a good friend. I don't want him to be bored and fighting sleep while I drone on and on. So I'm going to do my best to make it interesting.